Alright, so you might be wondering what this giant piece of gray machinery in front of me is, and I'll tell you what it is. You might know what it is. It's pretty distinct looking. It's a Sega Saturn with a cart Dev B. It's a development kit for Sega Saturn. I picked this up, I picked up the Saturn unit for probably like $800, like 4 or 5 years ago. And then I can't remember what I paid for the cart Dev B, but I picked it up a couple years later. This whole setup has been kind of sitting on my shelf. And I had a friend over the other weekend, and I was showing off some of my rare items in my collection, and he saw this and wanted to know more about it. So I busted it out, and we started talking about it, and then we were like, oh, does it work? What can we do with it? So I started reading into some of the documentation I have and started figuring out how to get it to work, you know, how to turn it on. It actually uses the same power supply as a Genesis Model 1. The cart Dev B does. This is all just standard Saturn stuff. I mean, besides, like, it has these, like, switches and all this different configuration things on there, as well as, like, this ribbon cable and SCSI out on the cart Dev. So, basically, and I'm gonna do some more videos on this, but my plans for this are, I would like to try and hook this up to a computer from the period that this would have been used and try to set up like a development environment, maybe write like, start off with like a hello world and just see what I can learn and what I can create, just for fun. You know, it would be really, really cool to be able to like create a tech demo, maybe like recreate some game that already exists, like parts of it or something. It'd be cool just to mess around and see what I can do, and you know, maybe see if there's like an open source community, and all the while document this whole process of me learning about the Saturn cart Dev and, you know, just seeing what we can do with it. As far as I know, it works. Both turn on. The cart Dev turns on. The Saturn turns on. I've booted the Saturn to a TV, but there's not much I can do with it because I don't have any of like the discs. I think there's like a development. There's a lot of components that go with this. There was like a disk drive emulator that's really expensive. There's all kinds of stuff. So I'm gonna try my best, and I really want to learn and try and get this thing working. So far I've bought a SCSI cable. I've bought the SCSI card that Sega recommends that you have. I'd have to look up the name of it. It's not here yet, so I'll come out with another video when all that stuff gets here and we actually try interfacing with a computer. But for now, I just have this. It turns on, it appears to work, but I'm reading documentation. I have a whole slew of documentation from Sega, and I'm just trying to figure out, just get an idea of what I can do with this thing. So until I have all the components, I'm not going to be able to really try and play around with it, but for now I'm just kind of reading development docs and trying to, you know, just get an idea of what the best practices for coding for this thing were, how to code for it. So it's going to be a journey. I don't foresee myself being able to do this in a weekend or even like a month. It might be 6 months, it might be a year, it might take me even longer than that. So I just wanted to put this out there that I'm going to be trying to work on this, and you know, maybe put out some tutorials, so if anybody else has one of these and they would like to do what I'm doing, you can follow along. So once I do receive the parts in the mail and everything that I purchase, I'll kind of go through some brief videos describing those parts and then showing them hooking up and how to hook them up and interfacing with computers. So I hope that I can really make some progress with this, and I hope that I can, maybe get into writing some code for the Saturn. I think it would be really neat. So I was always fascinated by the dual CPU architecture and just the graphical capability that the Saturn had. It always seemed like it was more difficult to program for, definitely more difficult than the PlayStation, but it seemed like if you knew what you're doing, you could really squeeze some performance out of it. Now granted, like, it's all matrices and a lot of like advanced math, so I'm not great at all that stuff, but I have some programming knowledge, so we'll see where it goes. I just think it would be fun to try and get this thing working. I mean, if I can get a development environment working, that would be awesome. So I really want to play around with this and just see what I can do. So, and I'm sure there's like a community online, so I'm looking forward to getting into it and kind of, maybe expanding the development community of the Saturn. Or that's kind of cocky to say that, but learning the techniques and possibly contributing to the community. So that's all. So I'm pretty excited about this. I've been wanting to announce that I'm gonna set out and do this, and yeah, so we're gonna give it a shot and see what happens. I could fail miserably, but I think along the way I might learn some cool stuff. So as you can see, there's like all kinds of cool little like switches. You got like the SCSI on here. It's like you can set what number in the chain the device is. So it's gonna be a real learning experience, going back and learning all of this old stuff. I kind of learned a little bit during like my school, my college, but it's just gonna be good to get my hands dirty, and I'm looking forward. I love the Saturn. It's one of my favorite systems, if not my favorite system. So we'll see how it goes. So thanks for checking out this video. Stay tuned for more messing around with the Cart Dev B, and we'll see where it goes. Hopefully I can get a Hello World out there, and maybe we can open up the software. I've seen some people like using this on Linux, so I'm definitely gonna go for older, just original setup at first, but maybe as I further my understanding, we'll be able to do some other things. And who knows, maybe all this stuff already exists and I just haven't found it yet. So it's gonna be fun. So stay tuned, and thanks for checking out this video as well. We'll see you next time in Brian's Basement.